is the Content Development Specialist, Edge Network Private Limited, Bangalore. I wholeheartedly welcome both our resource persons, Aparna S. and Nikhil Menon, to this webinar to enrich the session with their expertise. I welcome our principal, Sister Maggie Jose, and all my colleagues to this national webinar. I highly appreciate all the hard work and the commitment from our industrial partner, Mrs. Rajashree Sethumadhavan, and community college faculty, Mrs. Srikala Menon, our IT team, Jodhida sir, Vinoy sir, and Avinash sir, and I welcome them wholeheartedly to this webinar. Now I welcome you all, our dear participants from far and near. May all of you have a fruitful time ahead. Our principal, Dr. Sister Maggie Jose, will join us to grace the event. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. Globally, the education of 300 million students has been disrupted. Shutdowns of educational institutions and colleges has largely disturbed the educational system. Online education be the savior at this critical time. Today's webinar is organized by Department of Content Writing under Community College. I welcome all of you to this live webinar and hope it will be fruitful and beneficial for all of you. Stay home, stay safe. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Bindu ma'am, and also our dear principal of St. Mary's College. It is a privilege to have all of you here. I think so far we have about 57 participants who've joined. I think we'll still continue adding the others to the meeting as well. Thank you for the wonderful message that you provided. So Aparna and Nikhil, are you guys ready for this?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So let me give you a small introduction. So yeah. Aparna and Nikhil are both very, very close friends of mine and also really amazing industry professionals. Firstly, about Aparna. Aparna is currently handling the public relations for Vedanta Steels. She is also a social worker and has a fantastic and diverse portfolio. She is partly a designer, partly a writer, and a perfect person to have for this occasion. So I once again, I welcome you, Aparna. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, yeah.
So, and we also have Nikhil Menon. So Nikhil, I'm sorry because I have to introduce you this way. And Nikhil is in fact the son of one of the prominent actors in Kerala, in Malayalam movie industry. Nikhil, I'd like you to explain once you start your session. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Yeah.
And he is also an amazing content writer, a speaker, and has won multiple accolades over different competitions over time, and also currently is a technical content writer and has also consulted for various Fortune 500 companies. So without boring you guys all too much, let me get straight ahead.
You're very kind.
Thank you, Nikhil. So over to you, Aparna, then.
Yeah. Thank you for the introduction, Nihal, and also to all the mentors who introduced us. It was very lovely. Thank you. So, hi guys, good afternoon. I hope you all have had your lunch because I hope this session is as engaging and interactive as possible. We have all been battling COVID for the past few months now, so I also hope you all are very safe. You all are following the social distancing rules, and you all have your protective measures intact. So, again, like without further ado, I'm into the presentation. I wouldn't want you all to consider this as a presentation. I would rather like this to be a discussion. So if you all have any doubts or any queries, you all are free to stop me midway or whenever. Anyway, we are contributing the last 15 minutes for interaction and questions or queries. So without further ado, I would like to start. So I have been working with Vedanta Resources for the past 2 years now. I'm a communication strategist there. I've been now Vedanta Resources. It's a business to business firm. Now it doesn't deal with customers or consumers directly. It deals with businesses. So the strategies that we adopt are very unique, and storytelling has been playing a very key role in the kind of strategies that we have adopted for our various stakeholders, be it media, be it the government, be it the local community, industrial leaders, community members. So that's what I'd like to highlight in this discussion as well, that storytelling, I won't just be focusing on the digital platform, but I'll also talk about how brands have taken it up as an important strategy, as a very key strategy for putting their message out there, putting across their ideas. So if you can see, I'll be first starting with these two campaigns. Now, these are two different products, two ideas, two strategies that Reebok as a brand and Spotify as a brand has used. One is a Be More Human campaign, as you can see, and the other one is a Game of Love campaign. So I'll just play this for you all. Can you hear it, guys? Because I can't hear it from my end. So can you all hear it?
We're seeing a rather blank screen. We're not able to.
Oh, you're not able to see the ad, is it?
Nothing. No.
Nihal, can we do something about that? I am actually playing it from my end, but I'm not sure if it's playing for y'all.
You have to start presenting, Aparna.
Yeah, I am presenting.
No, but the notification is Mariam Kuti Jashin is presenting.
So I think we need to ask him to stop presenting. Nihal? Yeah. Can we fix this? Can you see it, guys? Some response?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Anyone there?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an instruction for everyone. I request kindly request everyone to please put up the questions in the chat box. Is that all right? Okay, thank you. Continue.
Can you see the video that I'm trying to play?
Excuse me?
Can you see the video that I'm trying to play?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, ma'am.
Can you hear me? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So are you able to see the video that I'm trying to play here?
No, ma'am, it's not visible. Can't see it.
Because can you see the slide that I'm presenting right now?
No, ma'am, it's not seen there. It's something else is coming.
Oh. Nihal, can you please check what's the issue? I think somebody else is presenting. I think we need to ask that person not to present.
Yeah, so Mariam Kuti Jashin is currently presenting her screen. Aparna, I can see your screen on the playing the PPT, but it's not in the main screen.
Oh, okay. So can you ask that person not to, just like...
ചെറിയ പ്രശ്നമുണ്ട്. മറിയം കുട്ടി മാമേ അവര് പ്രസന്റ് സ്ക്രീൻ വെച്ചിട്ട് അതായത് മാം സ്ലൈഡ് ഡിസ്പ്ലേ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ കാണാനില്ല. അവരുടെ പ്രസന്റ് സ്ക്രീൻ പ്ലേ ചെയ്ത് ഇപ്പൊ അവർ ലെഫ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ടുണ്ട്. മറിയം കുട്ടി അതാണ് സംഭവിച്ചത്.
Aparna, the present option has come back to life. You can actually start presenting now.
Okay, so can you see my screen? Can you look at my screen right now? Is it maximized?
No, not yet.
Okay, but because for me, I am currently pressing it, but I am not sure why it's not popping up here all.
Marian വീണ്ടും പ്രസന്റിംഗ് സ്ക്രീൻ ഇട്ടേക്കത് മനസ്സിലല്ല. ആൻഡ് തെറ്റി ക്ലിക്ക് ചെയ്യുന്നതാവും. ആൻഡിക്ക് എന്നെ കുറിച്ച് അറിയണ്ടാവില്ല. മിസ് ഇത് കണ്ടോ? യു ആർ പ്രസന്റിംഗ് കണ്ടോ? മിസ് ആ സ്ക്രീൻ പ്രസന്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ടോ? അത് കാരണം അവരിടുന്ന സ്ലൈഡ് ആർക്കും കാണില്ല. അതാണ് പ്രശ്നം. അപ്പൊ അത് ചിലപ്പോ അറിയാണ്ട് പ്രശ്നം അപ്പൊ എല്ലാവരും രേഷ്മ എന്താ മനസ്സിലാ?
See it now? I think we can see the slide now. Let me just try playing the video.
Okay, ma'am, now you can continue. It's clear
Yeah.
now.
Can you also hear what's happening in the background? The audio to the video? So guys, I'm not sure if you can hear what's actually happening in the background. I'm just gonna play this one video as well. Yeah, so these are two campaigns that I've included. Now, as we all know, storytelling right from the prehistoric times to, the 21st century today, how you know the earth as it is, or how you perceive the world as it is, or, about medieval times and how you've just seen evolution. Everything, if you actually think about it, has been presented to you in different story formats, right? You understand the world as it is today because of the stories, because of the ideas that has been presented to you from different people, from your elders, from your peers, from your teachers, right? So that's how important storytelling is. And here, I'm sorry that you were not able to listen to the audio of this campaign, but these are very two powerful and impactful campaigns. Now, Reebok, Be More Human campaign was released back in 2008 or 9. Just think about it. Actually, a shoe selling brand, this brand actually inculcated a campaign where they just didn't talk about the shoes or just trying to sell the shoes, the basic format, but they spoke about physical fitness and mental fitness. That's what was shown in this video. Now, this video, the story that was presented in this video was so impactful. It was so, it interacted with the audience that it had lots of conversion. There was a 70% of conversion rate for this campaign just with this idea that they presented. And even today, 7 or probably 10 years later, the campaign is still running in the name of Be More Human. So that's the impact a story can leave if your story targets the right audience and if the theme of your story is impactful. Now, similarly, Spotify Game of Love campaign, as opposed to Reebok's campaign, which used an emotional appeal, the Spotify Game of Love campaign actually evoked a humorous appeal. If you can actually see, you can go back. This presentation will be shared with you separately, and you can go back and actually listen to these campaigns and videos. It's brilliant. It's amazing. So that's what I'm trying to tell here, that different appeals also matter, which I'll be discussing as we progress in this presentation. Now you look at the screen, and I'm sure all of you know who we are talking about. We're talking about none other than Mr. Sherlock Holmes. If you all know about this, but in 1887 was the first novel Sir Arthur Conan Doyle came up with, Sherlock Holmes. That was the name. And today, that is 60 short stories later, 4 novels later, different theater plays, different movies, different adaptations, and this character is still relevant. It is still there around us in all of our lives. This is solely because the nitty-gritties, the nuances that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle used during those times, it was detailed to perfection, basically. But at the same time, the storylines and plot lines were so complex, right? It was investigation, it was complex, yet it was dissected in such easy format to us. It was given to us on a plate, wherein we didn't feel like, at least I remember as a kid, when I watched these series of shows, I didn't feel like I was watching it as a third person. I felt involved. Suddenly, I wanted to solve the crime. If you actually think about it, the basics of forensics, the first thing that comes to our mind is probably a blood stain, or a chemical test, or an investigation, or a fingerprint. And that's because the storytelling techniques of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was so powerful that it left a lasting impact, lasting result in all of us. So that's when I'll be talking about few of the great business people that we see today. Now, if you look around us, there are 100 million businesses that are successful, that are doing really, really well. But why do these people stand out for us? Be it a Brian Chesky, who is the owner of Airbnb. That's the first picture that you're looking at here. The second one, obviously, it goes without saying, we're talking about Steve Jobs, who's founder of Apple. And then you have Melanie Perkins from Canva, Indra Nooyi, and you also have Sachin Bensal of Flipkart. These business people, they're millionaires today, they're billionaires today. But when they started out, they had stories of struggle, they had stories of despair to show, they had stories of hard working, which sort of connected to us on probably an individual level, right? Knowingly or unknowingly, we have all been consumers, customers of their product. It's just not the quantity or the quality of the product that matters, but it also matters how well you present your brand, your idea. If you're going to be presenting your idea as a brand, as a commodity, probably it's just not going to work. But if you add a more humanized or more emotional connect to it, a connecting point to it, then it is definitely going to leave a lasting impact. And what better than these 5 examples? sitting on the other side of the screen, when we watched their stories, we felt connected, we felt it interacted with us, it communicated with us. So these are the strategies that you need to keep in mind probably while you're trying to tell a story, because that's going to definitely take you a long way. Narratives are changing and times are changing. It is definitely going to take you a long way when it comes to the digital platforms. So that's what I'm getting at. Your theme is what matters. Again, if you have an idea in mind but you're not able to convey it properly to your audience, then probably your idea probably might not work. Because as a person who's trying to tell my story, I'm not just trying to think it from my perspective, but I'm going to deliver it to a mass audience. You want a large number of people to listen to your story, then you need to create that connecting point. And if your theme is not strong, then your story is probably going to fail. So while you prepare your story or while you're generating content, your theme needs to be consistent. At the same time, it needs to be extremely strong. So like I said earlier, from all the earlier examples that you can see, you need to make your story interactive and engaging. Now, just think about it. If you go back, the first person, Brian Chesky, he's the owner of Airbnb. He started out with the idea of renting rooms, guys. Just think about it. And today, Airbnb is a statement, and that's because that's what brands in today's day and age, in the digital age, is trying to do. They're just not trying to tell their story, but they're also involving people to tell their story. So if you go back to Airbnb's website and if you actually see, you see a lot of testimonials of people talking about their trip to Greece or their trip to Paris or their trip to Europe. Now, when they're saying this, they're not saying that they're going and staying in a hotel. They feel more home. They feel more at home. It's more homely, it's more warm, it's more loving, and it's all portrayed out there as testimonials for people to see. So as an individual sitting and watching this website, this screen, watching these testimonials, I feel more connected. I feel more obliged to go and take up a room in Airbnb than a hotel room, right? So that's how times are changing. You need to interact with your audience. You need to make it engaging. And if your story is not relevant, if it's not up to date, then probably it's just going to fade away in the background. Like you cannot. Your relevance matters a lot. You cannot be talking about how important radio is today. I'm sure, personally, I love radio, but I'm sure radio is slowly dying. Print is slowly dying. Digital platforms are slowly coming up. So if it's catered to the right audience, that's the next point. Like if you're talking about rural people and spreading your information to a rural audience, probably community radio works better, probably print works better. But today, with Modi's government coming in and with the Digital India campaign, almost everyone has a mobile phone with them. Everyone is digitally equipped. So you need to set your context, and your story needs to be relevant and up to date. If your story is not relevant and up to date, probably it's just going to fade away, like I said. Now, these are different ways and platforms to tell your story. Like today, video is king, or like how earlier content was king. Today video is king. YouTube is taking over, podcasts are taking over, and you don't see an advertisement or a brand message out there which is more than 20 words. If your brand message is going to be extremely long, probably it's not going to work. Hardly 3 to 4 words, that's what we see. And even more so, that was 2 years ago. Last 2 years, we've been seeing statements where just a good image works. Visual storytelling has taken over, and it's like how the saying goes, a picture is equal to 1,000 words. That's exactly relevant today. Your copy needs to be strong, it needs to be crisp, it needs to be transparent. Now, when I talk about infographics, we have all had those points where we had to deal with long, boring Excel sheets. Personally, I'm not a fan of Excel sheets. I don't even know how to use one, in fact. But I have been given tasks to convert these Excel sheets into, interesting, interactive infographics. Now that works better today. If your content is going to be long, and if your storytelling techniques are going to be long in different paragraphs, in as blogs or articles, probably people don't have the time to read long paragraphs today, and that's why I'm saying that copy needs to be strong and crisp and short. and carousels again taking over Instagram, where you just have images, you slide over those images, good creative interactive images, and that's all it takes. Now jingles, this I personally think is a very important tactic when you're trying to tell a story. So when you're trying to tell an idea, it's not just about your idea, but it's also about the different kind of formats you use to present that idea. And jingles have been worked fine for many advertisements. I mean, I still remember that jingle from Nirma, or that jingle from Ujala, right? All of us do. So it's extremely important. And events, campaigns, talks, and meetings. Now these are different PR strategies or storytelling strategies that we are seeing that's taking over. Now, personally, what I've put out here is an ad by Amul. I mean, just think about it, guys. Amul, which has been table butter. You're talking about plain table butter here, and that has created a statement in the country today. A table butter has translated into a statement. That's solely because of their storytelling techniques, how they have used their poster campaigns. That poster girl has literally just been the same. She has been consistent throughout. The sort of wordings they used, maybe not every poster of theirs were a success, maybe not every creative of theirs were a success, but keeping aside that fact, they have been consistent, they have been clear, they have been relevant. Anything that comes out, any news provoking story that comes out in the country today, we all resonate with. The first thing that we look forward, at least my father or my grandparents look forward to, is an Amul poster on the newspaper, and now they've slowly taken it to digital as well, so they are growing. So this creative that I've put out here is basically when Sundar Pichai became the CEO of Google, and then how Amul used up that opportunity to sort of present their ideas. So again, like I said, your story needs to be consistent and it needs to be relevant. That's why relevance comes into the picture, and that's how important relevance plays. It plays a key role. Now, by this point, I'm sure we all have an idea of why storytelling in the digital space is so important, but let me exactly tell you why it's important. So this is why it's important. Now, but obviously this is a joke, guys. So in 2005, what you see is the introduction of Pope Benedict. Now you see a girl who's looking facing the camera. No, I'm not talking about that girl. Just look towards your right. You'll see a small Nokia phone. This was used to capture this introduction, this ceremony. Now, I still remember my parents having used that Nokia phone, which is thick, and you throw that phone to a person today and that person's literally gonna fall. So that was a phone that was used in 2005, as opposed to 2013, when it was a sea of digital gadgets in every person's hand. And now we're 7 years down the line. Look at us today. Everyone owns one digital gadget or the other, be it a Kindle, be it a phone, be it an iPad, anything. So it's extremely important as to why digital space is booming, it's growing, and storytelling techniques and narratives have been taking over, because with all this information overload, our attention spans have become so less. Earlier, we could at least understand and grasp a long story or a long content with lots of words and paragraphs in it. But today, it's no longer the case. There's information overload everywhere. You walk down the New York driveway, or a Brigade driveway, or even for that matter Broadway here in Kochi, is just all the brands are trying to tell you a story. In fact, if you try getting out of your house right now, just walk like probably 250 meters, you'll see you'll come across at least 5 brands that are trying to sell their story. In fact, why do you even have to do that? Just go out of your room, just over here, or be an onlooker to your parents or somebody in the other room, and then you'll see everyone's trying to communicate something in the form of stories. So low attention span has been taking over, and that's why you need to in today's day and age, you need to keep your content crisp and short, and you need to present it in different formats. So if your story is not unique, if your story doesn't stand out, then sadly it's not going to work, how much ever good your story is. So like I said earlier, visual storytelling is what has been working best in today's day and age. Now, you need to personalize your story based on each platform. Now, those are going to garner you better results. Like, for example, you need to firstly create a laundry list of who your target audience is going to be, and what platform are you going to put across your story. Here, I've just covered social media so far. So, be it Facebook or a Snapchat or an Instagram, you need to know the demographics of your audience. You need to know their age, their interests. What are their occupation? What occupation do they follow, or what are the interests? Can they be persuaded easily? What gender are they? These are some important factors that you need to keep in mind while creating a story, so that you get better results, better conversion rates, or better at least interaction or persuasion levels when you try to tell your story. For example, Facebook probably works better for an older generation, probably for boomers, and Instagram is probably meant for millennials and Gen Z. I think Gen Z is definitely meant for Snapchat. So that's the thing. So my parents are probably not there on Instagram, but they are there on Facebook. So if I'm trying to tell a story as a brand, then I will probably my approach will be different when I'm putting out content on Facebook as opposed to Instagram, which will be heavily visual heavy or image heavy. And when it comes to YouTube, obviously I'm only going to be focusing on videos. So even if it's the same idea that you're trying to sell, your stories need to have a different format on different platforms. Now, these are the 4 I's that I'd like you all to take note of. So when you're trying to tell a story, you need to make sure that your story is interesting, your story is instructive, as in it has some meaning, and then it involves the audience and also it inspires. So if these 4 I's are lacking, then probably your story might fade out. It might still come out well, but it might fade out very fast. It might not leave a lasting impact on the audience like you want it to be. So you need to make sure that your story is interesting. You need to have a picture story, some connecting point where the audience resonates with what you're trying to tell. It should also have a meaning. If you're just trying to be blatant about your idea, if you're going to not present it well, then probably it's just not going to work. And you need to, like I said, how Brand Chesky did, or how all brands are focusing on, is to involve people. Like how Maggie's page, if you go, you just see like Maggie asking for the inputs and feedbacks of people, how they can get better. So this adds a more humanized perspective to the brand, right? So they are involving the audience, and suddenly it doesn't feel like a commodity. Suddenly it feels like an emotion. Suddenly it feels like a connection. And like if your story is not fire, then
So, but said she didn't get the key yet to see that property.
I'm sorry. Select or
Okay, when would can I see the property today, please?
I think somebody is not on mute, or are they trying to tell me something? I'm not sort of recollecting.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay. So, so these are the 4 I's that you can note down while you start to write down a peg or a story or an idea. Now, again, this is the basic format that you follow while preparing a story, right? Obviously, we have seen that in movies, we have seen that in novels, we have seen that in articles everywhere. So basically, there'll be a setup, then there'll be definitely a struggle, because obviously, if there's no struggle, then how can we bring about the solution, right? That's what all brands are trying to tell. All companies, corporates are trying to tell that we are the solution to your problem. So definitely, there should be a struggle. Without a struggle, probably you're not setting your context right. So I would like to show you 2 ads which has clearly captured these 3 points that fall under the basic format. I'm not sure if you'll be able to hear this, but I'll still play it nevertheless. And the next advertisement. This is a brilliant jingle, actually, guys. I'm sure all of us would remember this ad from long, long ago. So yeah, that's about it. So these two ads, I mean, literally followed this basic format wherein there was a setup. First one is a radio, jockey's place, and then second one is a house setup. Where the struggle is basically the first ad shows that the person's not getting an idea, he's not getting callers, and his show is a dead show. And then the second one talks about how his house has cracks in it and it's probably going to break and fall, and all of that. And then the solution, both the brands have come across here as a solution. Nescafe came up with the fact that, okay, drink my coffee and you'll get an idea, and that idea will lead to convert to your show getting better results, and that's exactly what they portrayed. Similar with Asian Paints, so the solution was, paint your house with Asian paints, and your house would be beautiful again, and it'll be great. So that's the basic format that brands are usually following. There are different narratives which I'll be covering in the next slide, but this is the basic format that brands usually follow. So again, like I said, like you can see on the left hand side, if for a strong story, you need to definitely have the context, you need to show what's wrong, and then you need to bring about the solution, as opposed to just showing the struggle and the solution. Now, different approach to a great story. I'd like to reiterate here, guys, that there's no hard and fast rule to a great story. If you have an idea, if you have a peg, please just jot it down. If you have a story starting point in mind, just jot it down. Just point it somewhere in your brains or in a journal or someplace. But these are the basic four formats that people use, or corporates or brands use, in order to deliver their story. So the first one here that you can see is nested loops. That's equal to the last slide that I showed you here. So nested loops talk about the brand being the solution. Their brand is overall covered with problems, and the brand being the solution to all these problems. So be it a Nescafe or be it an Asian Paints, whatever it is. And then there's petal structure. Petal structure is when you have few different stories, 3 or 4 different stories, and then it all comes or connects back to one single point. Now, in 2014 or 15, I'm not sure when, but Apple had released a visual campaign comparing themselves with Windows, and it was completely picture-based, picture-oriented and visual-oriented, and they had 4 different points. I mean, initially one would think, what are they trying to communicate? And then the 4 stories connected back to one point, which is, Apple being the solution. So again, the problem that comes up with the petal structure is that if all 4 of your stories, or 4 or 5 or different stories, are not strong enough, or not, if it doesn't inspire people, if it doesn't engage with people or resonate with people, then probably even if the final connecting point is great, it's still not going to work. Now, false start is when you start the story with something else, and then you sort of divert that entire story into something entirely different. And in media res is when you bring about the story, bring about flashbacks, and you start from a different timeline, and then you bring to reality. So false start, you can I would give you an example for false start, where there was a Scamlin advertisement. I don't remember if you all know this. I don't know if you all know this, but you use that Camlin pen. So there's this lady, and then she's widowed because her husband is lying right in front of her, and he's almost she doesn't have a bindi, because in North India, if the man of the house dies, then she has to take off a bindi, and then she sort of puts her bindi with this Camlin ink pen, and Camlin ink pens is so strong, they cannot be taken off. So she was not able to take off that bindi, and then this man comes to life. So initially when I watched that video, I still remember what is happening, what product are they trying to sell here, or what product are they talking about. And then towards the end, they talk about how Camlin ink pens are strong and all of that. So that's a false start. And then in media res is when you bring back flashbacks, etc. to do or different timelines, and then you come back to the present. So the last three examples or approaches that you see here are very tricky situations. Brands usually try to go for safe options, which is nested loops. But if you want to experiment and if you want to come out with creative ideas, that will leave a lasting impact and keep the audience hooked, because for sure these three approaches, be it the petal structure, false start, or in media res, is definitely going to keep your audience hooked if your story is strong and intact, as opposed to nested loops. So again, it depends on how you want to present your story and what story you're presenting it to and what audience you're presenting it to. Now, this is how storytelling affects the brain. Like, you remember some stories better than other stories because those have been presented to you better. It sort of evokes an emotion in you. That's the dopamine level, guys. If your story emotionally charges you, if a story emotionally charges you, then that means it's success. Be it positive or negative, it is definitely going to leave you a lasting impact. That's the same with movies, right? When we watch some movies, you just have a movie hangover, but as opposed to some other movies. So your story needs to be strong in terms of its content so that it leaves an emotional interaction in your brain. Now, mirroring is when you try to sell a story and the mass audience, or whoever your target audience is tries to, not just tries to, but actually feels it. They sort of understand what you're trying to tell and they sort of resonate with you. That's mirroring, and it has been used as a great tactic to capture a wide number of people. Again, cortex activity is something like dopamine itself, and I'd like to say that, how I said earlier, that storytelling techniques actually evoke conversions. One would think that it's all about the quality of the product or what idea you're trying to sell, but trust me, the way you present your story, your idea matters a lot, and it has been effectively proved that storytelling boosts conversions by 30% when used to answer customer questions. And now we know why Airbnb or Maggie or other brands try to involve their audience while trying to tell their story, because more involvement means more resonation. It feels like one. And 62% of B2B marketers rated storytelling as an effective content marketing tactic. So like I said, I work for a B2B firm. So now here, we are one of India's biggest metals and mining firm. We deal with businesses that sort of involved in metals and mining. So how do I cater to my audience, right? Because if I'm going to be talking about the technicalities of what we do, or the most intricate points, then probably people are not going to understand and not going to resonate with our organization. So what we try to do is we try to sell unique stories, present it in a more humanized manner. We talk about how important metal is, and we run campaigns on how important it is, metal is in today's day and age. The metal comes from below the ground, and then on top you see buildings, industries, anything that you eat out of your plate, or anything that you see around is made out of metal. So we try to connect it with the audience so that they understand it better. And your storytelling techniques also needs to be evoked in, especially in B2B. I'm sure Nikhil would be presenting it to you better, but your storytelling techniques need to be very positive and impactful especially when you're dealing with industries like mining, which is not seen very positively in India. A lot of crises can come along the way. So your target should not just be about selling your idea positively, but also to sustain the image of the brand, or the idea of what you're trying to say. And here again, it's said that B2C marketers place greater importance on storytelling than B2B marketers for obvious reasons, because you're directly communicating to the audience, and it can definitely leave a lasting impact. Now, as we are approaching towards the end of this session, I would also like to highlight how storytelling has been extremely prevalent during time of COVID. all the brands are coming out not as brands and entities, but as human beings. There's the humanized element on each brand, and they're all trying to tell that please stay safe, and we are in this together, in this pandemic together. And that's bold. That's a bold way to approach the audience. Be it McDonald's, they have not changed their logo for the past. Since they launched, they have not done one alteration to their logo. And look at the logo now; it's separated. If you can see, both the M has been tried to separate from each other. So that's, be it Audi, be it McDonald's, whatever you can see on the right hand side of this slide. So that's how bold statements are being made during times of COVID, and we don't feel like these are brands. We don't feel like they're entities. We feel like we are one among them, and they are one amongst us. So now, also creativity plays a key role. How unique you are in trying to sell. When everyone is talking about social distancing and safety, which is extremely important, here we have on the left hand side Dabur trying to talk about how important it is to maintain your dental health, your dental hygiene, because we are always at home, we are always eating something, we're always grinding something. So Dabur has come up with this campaign, and this has successfully converted a lot of its customers and otherwise a lot of audience in general. Yeah. So that's how well they've placed their story or idea during these dire times. So this is one tip for y'all. Stories are everywhere. You just literally need to observe. Like I said, just go outside or talk to people. Your perspectives, your experiences are what gives you more ideas, what gives you a peg. So if you know us, if you get a peg, if you get an idea, like I said earlier, you just need to jot it down. Don't undermine your idea right now. Probably a time will come when you feel like it's fitting the context. But if you have something, just start working on it or write it down. Do not ever let go of it. And there is literally no hard and fast rule in creating an impactful story. If you think a story is transparent, relevant, clear, precise, and emotionally engaging the audience, then you're good to go. You just need to jot it down and you're good to go. So with that, we come to the end of the session, guys. And if you have any queries, any doubts, I'm open to it. I hope you all, didn't sleep off, and I hope you all found this engaging enough. So if you have any questions, just shoot, and I'm here to answer. I'll try to answer.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
So we'll be moving with the interaction session. Okay, I kindly request everyone to raise your questions one by one. Please don't unnecessarily mute the speaker. Okay. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, myself. I'm Renu.
Okay. Hi, Renu.
So I would like to ask, ma'am, I would like to ask you a question, and I want to know when you write a story,
Yeah.
and you want to reach audience, a large audience. So,
Okay.
which one is it humor or sentimentalization that reaches the audience?
Okay, so hi Renu. So I'd like to say that emotional appeal. So there are different kinds of appeal, right? There's emotion, there's fear. A lot of ads have, road safety ads and all of that. If you see, they have invoked a lot of fear element in it. And there's
Yes,
emotion, there's humor. So, but emotional and humor have been proven to work the best. But it's also most difficult to create a humorous element because what's funny to you probably might not be funny for me. So when you're trying to write down or present your idea, it depends on who your target audience is, like what your ideas and who your target audience is, and then you're good to go. But if, like I said earlier, all these points matter. If your story is crisp and if your idea is crisp and if it's relevant, if it's up to date, then depends on the idea. Like if you want to use emotional, then you might probably have to do it in a more detailed manner. If it's humorous, then you need to know what clicks best in today's day and age.
yes.
So yeah, so that's how I'd like to present it. Because
Thank you, ma'am.
with Vedanta, we always try to bring about a humorous concept, because our audience is very sensitive in that aspect. Because, like I said, mining is not a very it's not considered very nice in India. People, there have been protests and everything, which I wouldn't like to get into the details of the organization. In general, I'm sure you understand. So
Yes,
we
ma'am.
go about a more emotional aspect, a more emotional tone, wherein we try to talk about how important metals are, starting with your child's, the first year we do a thing in temples, right? Starting from
Yes.
that to, today, like you're eating out of your plates, so we try to take that angle. But again, depends on what your idea is, but it will work the best.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
No problem.
So anyone else who'd like to raise a question?
Okay, good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, good afternoon.
So, ma'am, can you discuss with us the career opportunities available in the field of content writing?
Okay, so hi, what's your name? Hello, hi, what's your name?
Hello, ma'am. My name is Lakshmi.
Hi, Lakshmi. So,
Hi, ma'am.
when I was doing my freelancing and my internships, I started out as a content writer. Today, I'm a communication specialist, and today I work for the public relations department. But when I started out as a reporter. I used to work for the Indian Express. I used to intern there, and I've also done a couple of freelancing in the field of writing. So I'm gonna tell you, writing's never gonna die. Every department, every organization in the world needs writers, be it a technical writer, be it product writing. There are different kinds of writing. So the career prospects for your field, content writing, is just going to be massive, and it's just gonna grow. But like I said, probably the approaches that we have to content writing today might change. When I talk about when I talk about being a PR specialist or communication specialist for Vedanta, apart from handling events and press conferences and all of that, I also handle brochures and publications, different publications, which involve a lot of content, detailed or content specific items into them. So, like I'd like to say that your career prospect is just very massive and high, so you don't have to worry about that part. You need to, again, like, probably dissect into what sort of content writing you want to get into. If you want to get into product writing or technical writing, whatever that is, but it's just mass that is going to be relevant any day.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
All right. So any other questions, anyone? If you'd like to shoot a question, I don't see any questions in the comment section. So you can post your comments you can post your questions in the comment section in the chat.
Okay.
and I can shoot it across. Or if anyone would like to ask Aparna a question directly, please go ahead. I think we have. We can take just one more question. Is that all right, Aparna?
Yeah, I am completely fine.
Any questions? Anybody would like to raise? Any questions?
I hope they didn't sleep off, man.
I hope not to, but
Yeah.
yeah, definitely not you guys.
I don't think they slept off. I think she just explained it with so much of detail. There are no questions left to ask.
Okay.
Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks, Nikhil, for stepping in.
I'm just so bummed that, nobody saw the video. I mean, like the audio to the video didn't work. Those were really brilliant campaigns, guys.
I have a question which has come up.
Yeah, we have a question right now. So
Okay.
Aparna Indulega is asking, as a fresher, what all are the do's and don'ts of a content writer? So
Okay.
if you'd like, you can go on.
Yeah.
You can unmute yourself so that you can ask that question. You can interact directly. Indulega, are you there? Right. Anyways, Aparna, you go ahead.
Yeah.
So what are the do's and don'ts of content writing? That's a question.
Do's and don'ts.
As a fresher.
I genuinely go by the belief that there's literally no hard and fast rules. But again, being in an academic zone, I think the don'ts are when your content needs to be grammatically correct. That's the first thing that grammar is king. Your content needs to be correct. Your context needs to be set right. Your content cannot be dragging is what I think. That's another don't. I don't know, for some reason don'ts are popping up for me. Your content cannot be dragged. You cannot be one can't be bored reading your content, whatever it is. It needs to be precise and it needs to be set in the right context. And like I said earlier, you need to know your target audience well to do all these things. So, and also one thing I'd recommend all of you to make sure is that do not publish your content or try to sell your story in the first go itself. You need to keep editing your content. You need to keep checking over and over again. Definitely you will find a minimum of if you're writing an article, a minimum of 20 to 30 mistakes, be it a comma, be it an colon, whatever it is. So and you need to know the format. If you're writing a letter, then that has a format. If you're writing an editorial, then that has a different format. For an advertorial, it's a different format altogether. So before starting to write your content, whatever content writing, whatever formats, whatever you're catering to, if you're catering to different sorts of audience, then you need to set your format right. So these are few important. I stand by the fact that you need to edit your content well. You need to keep checking your content until and unless it's clean, it's clear, it just sends across one message that resonates with the audience. So these are really important factors to keep in mind while you write your content, because you're gonna fall prey to a lot of problems when you step into the industry. I have gone through this. If your content is not edited well, if you have mistakes, and again, one more thing is that if you're taking inspiration or if you're taking ideas from different perspectives or points, like let's say for Google, for instance, you need to always credit your idea, or whoever you have taken it from. You cannot present that idea as it's yours, because that's also going to create a problem. So whenever you're writing, if you get inspired by something, always credit the source, because that's extremely important as well. Because when you enter the industry, these are key points that one needs to keep in mind while publishing something, while publishing some sort of write-up or article or editorial piece.
Right. So thanks, Aparna. We'll have, I think there's one more question.
Yeah.
So we'll just take this last question for Aparna. Nikhil, I'm sorry, I'm overstepping into your time, but just this last question.
No problem.
So from Sumi, which is the best podium to start with in content writing? Which is the
podium
best
as in what? As in podium as in platform?
Sumi, you can unmute yourself, Sumi. Are you able to unmute yourself, Sumi? Okay, I think we'll go with the assumption
Yeah.
that.
Hello.
Yeah.
This is Sumi.
Perfect.
Hi, Sumi.
And my question is that will we get we have a lot of opportunities these days. So
Correct.
which will be the best platform to start the content writing with?
Can you tell me what do you mean by platform? As in, do you already have
We have a lot of sites and a lot of things showing that we can post our contents extra.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
as a beginner, how can we start? In which place will we start?
I
That's all.
personally would recommend, how much ever, the social media is taking over, I would still recommend if you want to be a key authentic content writer and you personally have some ideas, as in you're not representing any other corporate brand or entity, then the best would be to start off with a blog. Like you can jot down your blogs there and you can publish your blog. So be it
Yeah,
a medium, there's a website called Medium. If you start posting a blog there, and you sort of build your audience, you share it with people, you publish it with your close ones, your relatives, your family.
yeah.
Slowly
Can you
pick up
tell the name of the blog again?
Medium. So that's one. One is Medium, and the other one is Blogger,
Mm.
blogger.com or Blogspot, or platforms like this will give you great.
Okay.
Whenever
Okay.
I still write on Medium, I still publish my content on Medium, and from when I started out to today, it's been doing extremely well. But also, I don't know if this is my area to tell, but I think hashtags work better. Like it really gives leverage for your content. So
Yeah.
when you write your content, then before posting, if you set the right keywords, like for example, if it's revolving around the topic, whatever is revolving around your topic, if you set the right keywords or hashtags, then best for you, it will work out. Organic boosting, that works out best. So
Okay. Thank you so much.
no problem.
Yes. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Aparna, for your time.
Thank you, Nihal. Yeah. Thanks
It
a
was
lot
really
for
a
the
pleasure for having you. It was
Thank you
really
very much.
wonderful having you.
Thanks a lot.
So, all right. So, other questions? I see a couple of more questions. So, I'll shoot it. I'll send it over to you via email.
Perfect.
Right?
I also, request you to just share this, PPT with these people. I know there's not much in the PPT, but those videos are important. So if you can share it with them, it'll be great.
I'll do that. Please
Yeah.
do send it across, and I'll share it with everyone who has been a participant here today. All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So let's head over to our second speaker for today. It is Nikhil Menon, like I was introducing him to you before. But again, I would not like to go into much detail. I think Nikhil would be the best person to do that himself. Nikhil, over to you then.
Hey, Nihal. Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure talking to all of you. I guess this is a first for all of us. We're having this interaction via a digital platform. And I think that is the new normal, right? That's what everybody has been harping about for a long time on social media. But what Nihal had said at the beginning of the meeting, I just want to get the elephant out of the room as soon as possible. Yes, my name is Nikhil Menon, and yes, I am related to a very famous actor, as in he is my father. So I think, Nihal, I'll just get that elephant out of the room like ASAP, and I'll put that in.
Absolutely.
All of you can hear me, right? I hope I'm audible.
Just a moment, Nikhil. Let me just emphasize the fact that I think if you can all go to Nikhil Menon and you'll see a small pin icon, a thumb pin icon. So you click on that and you should be able to pin his screen on top. Nikhil, I think, can you try sharing your screen?
Yeah, definitely.
I think everybody can see you now. You look good too, so I think everybody have a...
Thank you so much.
All right.
So, screen visible?
Yes, visible. Nikhil, can you just go back to the previous screen for a moment? I'll just to the Meet screen. Yeah. So you can see on the Meet screen, you can see a thumbnail icon, right? So if you can, yeah, that thumbnail icon. So if you can all click on that thumbnail icon, you should be able to pin Nikhil's screen. So once it starts presenting, you can pin it. All right. Yeah. So sorry, Nikhil. Yeah, please go on.
So it's all visible, right? My screen is visible, I'm sure, to right now.
Yeah, screen is visible. You can head over there.
So actually, it's brilliant for the fact that I'm almost continuing from where Aparna left off, because when I was asked to talk about B2B content development, I always wondered how would I be able to come to the point of talking directly to the consumer, because when we talk about B2B content, is there a lot of disturbance in the background? I'm hearing some disturbance. Yes. Okay. All right. So when we talk about B2B content, that's basically on a more business-oriented concept. And I'm actually happy that Aparna took you guys through a very detail-oriented run-through of what it is to talk to the public consumer, because that slightly differs from what we're going to talk about right now, which is B2B content. So I'm just going to pull up my PPT, and I think I'll just hit it off the bat. I think we can hit the ground running, so we'll be able to understand it a little bit more in detail. So I'll just start the PPT. Hold on. Okay, you guys can see this, right? Okay, for some reason the PPT is not visible. Is this visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay. All right. Okay, just to start this off on a broad aspect, what is B2B content development? I think it's pretty self-explanatory when you look at it, which is basically business to business. And we talk about building content for an enterprise is basically the language we use in a business to talk to another enterprise, as simple as that. Because it all stems down to the basic fact: who is the target demographic? Who are we talking to? And that is often broadly classified into B2C and B2B, where B2C is business to consumer or business to customer, and B2B is business to business. But something to remember always, that it is not as if B2B is not talking to a customer. The business is also a customer, but the only thing that changes is the language. The language becomes the crux of your communication channel. And I'll explain. When we talk about business to consumer content, the content targets the public consumer. Again, I reiterate that point. But another important thing you must remember is the content is often softer and devoid of jargon. Now, even if, like when you talk, the only place where enterprises indulge in consumer content, that is B2C content, would be on social media. You see a lot of big companies like Fortune 500 companies, B2B enterprises like how do you say, Wipro, Infosys, and all of these companies, they also have social media handles, and that is them trying to connect with the public consumer. But the public consumer isn't their client. It is just to maintain a market presence. That is why if you look at their social media content, they use softer words. They use like a lot of references, templates, popular acronyms like LOL, ROFL. All that comes under a concept of casual conversational tonality, which is you are talking the language of the masses, right? So that everybody, so that the man sitting in Philadelphia and the man sitting in Surat can both understand the same content. There should be no differentiation in that. Now, when we come to the language of enterprises, how can the language actually be different, right? Because at the end of the day, the entire English language encompasses about 20 lakh words, and they're all the same. They cannot really change or mutate or evolve. And that's where the next important factor comes into play, which is structure and syntax. I'll explain, I'll elaborate. You might feel like it's a little bit too much right now, but I think I'll try my best to break it down for you in this short session. Now, how does this B2B content development differ from regular content writing? Now, the reason why when I started off my career, I started as a content writer. I was writing a lot of public consumer oriented content, but over time, over the last 4.5, 5 years, I have evolved into this B2B content developer, which is basically all of our content uses a lot of industry specific terminology. When you're talking to your consumers, that is the businesses who are absorbing your content, there's a lot of terminology that comes with each business. Now, let us take the example of blockchain. So for 1.5 years, I worked in the blockchain space. In that space, I had to learn about, I did not know anything about blockchain. I ventured into it like any other person, absolutely no idea, probably heard about the word on social media or because of these conversations that people have in parties or functions or conferences. But when I joined a company that worked primarily in blockchain, you realize that there's a lot of terminology that is not known to us. Like, I'm sure that most of you know, and maybe there are some of you who do not know, that we don't always refer to blockchain technology as just purely blockchain technology. We call it DLT, as in distributed ledger technologies, DLT, right? So that kind of industry-specific terminology crops up heavily in B2B content. We don't always call a spade a spade. We try to find different ways of addressing it, and the actual phrase for that is known as high-level language. Though I don't enjoy using that phrase when trying to address this, but that is what every other industry personnel calls it, as high-level language. And that is basically a synonym of industry-specific terminology. And now, another very important facet of how your content changes from B2C and B2B is that the language predominantly speaks in third person. Now, all of you guys sitting there all of you are like English majors and pursuing a course in English. I'm sure I do not have to school you on what is a third person tonality. I'm sure you're all very well aware of it. First person, second person, and third person. And when we are building content for a business, it predominantly speaks in that formalized tonality. It's as simple as that. And I will show you a couple of examples. I'll try and go online and bring up these articles for you so that you'll be able to understand what I'm saying a little bit more clearer. And the most important facet of this entire conversation is, who are you talking to, right? So when Aparna had come online, she had spoken about talking to the consumer, that is to invoke passion, to invoke a connect when you're selling your story. Now, on a B2B scale, in the back end, while writing for a company, all of that might take a step back, and you have to look at the broader picture, as in, who are you talking to? You're talking to business stakeholders and industry leaders and the key people who take decisions in a company. So when you talk about market stalwarts and all of these people who are running the show behind the scenes for a company, there is a way you address them and there is a way you give content directly to them. Now, but the second question that is now cropping up in your mind is, what is this content that you're giving them? If it is just a regular article, because if you see my last point over here, doesn't always employ a storyline format, that is actually an exception to what B2B content is. When we develop our content in form of long form content, we don't necessarily use a storyline format, that is building a story, that is having an introduction, building a base, and then coming to your inevitable climax. That storyline format is not necessarily employed, but that is an exception, because I'll show that to you later on. So these are some of these articles that I have published over time. If you look at this, cryptocurrency to forge a new market in Russia, which was an article I had written for IBT, the International Business Times. This article was purely talking about economic policy while utilizing cryptocurrency. Now, you might think, oh my God, this is so complex. I do not have to hear this. This is not interesting to me. But no, that is exactly why I'm telling you that your career opportunities lie in the field of business if you can understand a business at its depths. When I ventured into this industry, I had no idea that one day I'd be writing articles on different platforms. I have blockchain articles on Entrepreneur. I have some on Yahoo UK Finance. It is because of a very simple thing, extensive research. And if you look at this article, if you look at this article over here for moving beyond physical switching, that is an article I ghost wrote for Mr. Ravi Pagar, who is the regional director of Element 14 in India. Element 14 is the company that owns Honeywell, Schneider Electric, and all of those other companies. They're the Fortune 500 company I wrote for. I've also written for Western Digital and for Walmart as well. But I can't show you I wanted to show you the Walmart content, but I'm bound by certain NDAs to never show it to anybody. So I apologize for that, but I will try and send the links to you later on privately. Now, why I show this to you is basically because I wanted to explain what are these standard B2B collaterals. Yes, when we talk about B2C, we have articles, we have blog posts, we have influencer marketing, we have short content, long content, medium content, one-liners. Sure, all of that exists because you're talking to the public consumer. When we talk about standard B2B collaterals, it only has two goals, which are primary and the secondary goal. the primary goal is to generate B2B sales. That is to put so that people who read your content can put in an inquiry saying, hey, I liked what you were talking about. I understand the product that you're talking about. I understand the market it is serving, and I understand the solution it has become. So yes, I want to talk about it so that maybe my enterprise can purchase the solution. The secondary goal will always be to emerge as a conversational leader in the area of focus and expertise, which is simple. If you are writing in the blockchain space, you must do your level best every day to become a master at the industry and always have regular insights at the tip of your fingers, because you should never be caught off guard. I'll reiterate that later on because there's just a lot going on over here, but I'm trying my best to break it down. I hope you guys will bear with me. So what are these collaterals? The collaterals are varied. You can have targeted marketing campaigns, like you have emailers, announcements, short blogs, which you put up on your company page, etc. Then the most important part are the white papers, corporate brochures, and technical presentations. Those three types of content delivery channels, that's white papers, corporate brochures, and technical presentations, all of these primarily contribute towards generating B2B sales for the company, because through words and through content, you explain about your product, its solution, the industry it caters to, either in detail or in short format. Again, that is up to the discretion of your product marketing team when you're working in a company. But those three contribute heavily to sales. Now, if you look at the third point, which is product deployment and product instructional videos, that is a pure back-end function, all right? So like if you work, I work currently for a B2b SaaS company. I'm sure you know what SaaS is, a software as a service. So regularly when the product has some glitches, or if a new patch comes in and it is added to the software, we have to release a deployment video, a product deployment or an instructional video that explains in simple terms what happens when this patch is installed, or what happens when you click this button. All of that through targeted instructional content. There is a science behind that. In fact, I'm not going to go too much into detail into product deployment videos, because it's actually an instructional design course you have to take. But yeah, that is another form of content that is deployed internally. Ebooks, manual text, etc. All fine. Again, all internal content. Now this final point over here, which is the thought leadership articles. Now, what is a thought leadership article? That is a very complex system. So when you're developing something like a thought leadership article, it is very simple. You're trying to show the market that, yes, I might be a small company. Yes, I might be a startup, or I might be an SME, a small medium enterprise, but I am talking about the most relevant conversational points in today's market. My products are addressing these problems in real time. So maybe you should try and focus your energy on my company, because I will try to deliver these solutions, because clearly from my content, it is evident that I know what I'm talking about. So you can see the linear flow of how we're trying to sell it. That is B2B content. And that comes behind these thought leadership articles, because it's very simple. When you join a company as a B2B content developer, you might be tasked with the job of writing certain articles for your CEO, your directors, your head of marketing that goes into different publication channels. That's your job. You become the in-house ghostwriter for your entire company. Now, if you're writing an article, say your company is an ITES firm like Wipro, and you are ghostwriting your article for the chairman of Wipro. It was Azim Premji, but now I believe it's his son. If you are writing this article for him, you do not want to sound slightly archaic. You do not want to show that you are naive. I'll again get to this a little bit later on in the presentation, but you need to establish yourself as a ground leader. And how do you do that? You do that by being the most informed and relevant person in the conversation. Now, what are the standard key strengths of a B2B content developer? Hold on. This is something that is a little bit like, how do you say, broader, and a little bit more. So I'll try my best to explain it to you so that it doesn't feel like I'm running away with this content, because I have this underlying fear that I'm a little too fast, but I'm sure you guys are able to follow me. So constant and extensive research. I think I mentioned it earlier, right? To become a thought leader doesn't happen overnight. You can never hit the ground running. When you look at other areas of your career, that is being a copywriter or a UX copywriter or a content marketer, sure. When you join a company on day one, you can hit the ground running. You can start punching out content for your clients. Yeah, it wouldn't be too tough because you're talking about products in a public consumer market. So the language will not change. It's just an understanding. But when you come into B2B writing and you're writing purely for the business, you are trying to position your business through words. You're trying to explain your product through words. You're trying to explain the pain points. You're also trying to explain the positive attributes purely through your words. And that only comes with constant and extensive research. Your research cannot end today and your writing cannot begin tomorrow. They have to synchronously flow together forever. And that's how you technically become a stronger B2B writer. Yes, when you start off initially, it will seem like a long way to go. But over time, when you read about certain subjects, you start getting acquainted with other subjects. I'll give you an example. When I was reading about machine learning took me to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence took me to NLP, natural language processing, which then took me to deep learning, which then pushed me to meta learning. Every day, you will keep broadening your horizon of knowledge, which just makes you a better writer and a better technical industry writer. Now, structured writing. Now, this is very important. Unlike most public consumer content, structure in B2B content, you're talking heavily in a technical fashion and a formalized tone. So it might seem regimental and even borderline very plain and stoic. That is your content, because you're just talking about facts, numbers, statistics, how the application, how it works, how it addresses the market, how it will reduce your bottom line, how it will increase your top line. All of these are business terms. These are business-oriented words. So when you're talking about so many things under a single topic, you first need to plan out the structure and what you're trying to say. How are you trying to say it? And what will be the end result? Always, when you are writing, you must be your own audience. When you finish writing your article or your blog or your short description or your product manual or explainer video, whatever it is, whenever you write it, you must, at the end of it, think to yourself, if I was a stranger and I read this document, would I be able to understand what this person has said? And that person being you. I have written this article, but if I was a stranger, would I be able to understand this content? And that is the question you must ask yourself regularly. And that's when, like how Aparna said, you need to constantly edit your content. The first draft will never be your final draft. All right. And now, when in the concept of measuring content liberties, now this is a problem I have seen when I have worked with a lot of like companies and SMEs. So in the last 3 to 4 years, I have managed a lot of teams across Bangalore and Chennai and also here in Kochi, but not for too long. When managing these teams of junior writers and looking at the way they develop content, and you can be happy with content liberties, but you can't thoroughly be happy because it's a very broad concept. And I'll make you explain. I'll explain it to you a little bit more clearly. When a content liberty is something a writer assumes when he arrives at a broader consensus about his own audience, which is simple. When a person has been writing in an industry and field for long enough, he will start assuming certain liberties, as in this person knows what I'm talking about, or this person is from the industry, so they must understand what I'm talking about. And that has often, led to a lot of disparity in the content being developed in businesses. Like I have seen a lot of good content being ruined because there were unelongated acronyms, and there were no subcontexts provided for certain like structured paragraphs. See, when you're talking about, again, when you talk about, just give me a second, people. I'm also going a little dry here. Okay. When you're talking heavily in a technical formalized tone, especially when you're writing in innovative technologies in that space, that is AI, blockchain, cloud analytics, IoT, data analytics, and data aggregation, storage services, hard devices, and all of that, you tend to take a lot of liberties. I'll give you an example. The system had 16 GB RAM. Now, yes, you might assume that everybody knows what RAM is. You know what RAM is. I know what RAM is. My next door neighbor knows what RAM is. The local fisher guy also knows what RAM is. And the man at the butcher shop also will know what RAM is, probably. But you taking that content liberty, saying I will only mention it as RAM and I will not put random access memory in brackets to break it down for a consumer, is a liberty you have taken. Some liberties work. Like I don't have to put 50 gigabytes. I can just put 50 GB. You will understand that. Everybody has understood that. That liberty is fine. Totally understood. I put the word VIP. You know it. It's a very important person or a personality. Fine. Again, another creative liberty. Now, if I was writing an article about blockchain and if I put DLT, a lot of people, it would just go flying over them. They wouldn't understand what is DLT. He's talking about blockchain. What is DLT? I don't understand. And immediately the person leaves your page to go to another page to search what is DLT. And automatically he has left your page and you have lost a viewer on your page. And that will affect your backend metrics for your social media traffic that's coming through your websites. So you must always be sure of these liberties you take when you're writing. Never assume and always never presume, because presumption is as dangerous as assumption. Grammar and syntax. Okay, now that is something I know for a fact I can't teach you, and you guys also know for a fact that it's something that cannot be learned overnight. It is a classic example of practice makes perfect. I tried to source some of my older articles that I published, and I wanted to compare it with the newer articles that I have published recently to show you the stark difference in how my content has changed. Now, if I was to go back to all the articles I was developing back in 2016 and 17, I would probably laugh, because I'm sure I would stumble upon dozens of punctuation errors, grammatical fallacies, and syntax murder, as I would like to call it. So you learn every day, you become better at what you do. And the most important part of a writer is to always say, yes, I do not know, tell me, teach me, tell me where I made that mistake. And trust me, as you network with more people, you will learn different ways to write content. You will see those slightly tinier, minuscule errors that you make on an everyday basis. It will slowly start to fade away, because somebody will always tell you, see, that is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. And the English language is so vast that mistakes will happen. Nobody's perfect. It happens to the best of us. All right. And this fifth point over here, which is mastering the art of long format written content, right? Now, yes, B2b content has a lot of short form content as well. All right. It doesn't really always rely on long form. Even me, I tend to, like, even if I'm writing an article or a blog or a thought leadership piece, or a technical document that is going out in the form of a white paper or a brochure, I try to limit the words to under 1,000, and for articles maybe under 700, to keep the viewer gripped for longer, right? But yes, when it comes to long format, you have a 1,500 word window. That window is always available to you. But my biggest advice is, whatever happens, however complex the scenarios, however difficult the conversation is, try and always keep it to 1,199, a word under 1,200, because that goes a long way. Also, because if your consumers are people who do not stay on web pages for too long, the SEO ranking of your page will drop, because people will not be interested in reading through 1,200 word articles. So my actual advice would be to try and keep it at 750 and under. And the last point, which is abstain from clickbait content. Now, clickbait content is something that is flooding the market now heavily. All right. We have so much of clickbait content because the amount of people who are digitally connected every day are in the hundreds of millions. All right. And the amount of content, the volume of content consumption has gone through the metaphorical roof. People are consuming content every second of the day. So for that reason, we need fresh content regularly. So for that reason, to make your content stand out from the rest, you tend to indulge in something known as clickbait content. And I'm sure a lot of you receive spam email, and I'm sure you see the way they talk in the subject line itself, like your income tax department is following you. No, nobody's following me. That kind of clickbait content doesn't work, and you will actually lose your entire credibility if you venture into that kind of content. Like look at Times of India. Times of India is struggling on the social media platforms right now because they've indulged heavily in clickbait content because they want viewership. Yes, you can do that, but it's unethical, and you will face certain like drawbacks when it comes to trying to build a business if you indulge in clickbait content. And when it comes to a business, if you use clickbait content, you get the title of hammy and scammy, which is you're a scamster. You come across as a scamster if you indulge in clickbait content to other enterprises, because enterprises just want to see it in black and white. They do not want to see fancy sentences. They do not want to see over exuberant and enthusiastic headlines. No, none of it makes sense to a B2B enterprise because they are actively looking for solutions every day. They are trying to find answers to real world problems, and they do not have time to read content that is not relevant to them. And they will, in fact, go well aware to block your content. I have also read, I cannot comment on the company that has done that, but I know 2 to 3 companies in Bangalore that have banned pages like Spotboy, I think, Spot-I or Spotboy, Times of India, and another, I'm sure, I can't remember the third platform, but all of these platforms are actually banned in the office premises. That is, you can't access those URLs at any time because of the type of clickbait content that they're subjugating their masses to. And the companies do not want people in the office premises reading that kind of trash. It's as simple as that. So now the reason why I have given you so much in terms of how to improve your writing, I'll give you an example. So when I joined my current company today, that is Edge Networks worked in the HR tech space. That is, they use AI and machine learning to deliver HR-based solutions to a lot of Fortune 500 companies like NTT, Virtusa, Wipro, HSBC, Singtel, Daimler, Mercedes. A lot of these companies, we are delivering our talent acquisition solutions to them. So I had no idea what was HR tech. I had no idea what HR was. I haven't done an MBA, so I have no idea what any of the terminologies even meant, right? It could have been like talent acquisition, talent transformation, workforce optimization, bench reduction, static metrics, top line, bottom line, profit-oriented goals. All of these jargon illustrated terms used to fly over my head. Like, what is happening? Why? It makes no sense to me. But I realized that if I just stuck to my own principles, which was to do constant and extensive research, maybe I could learn something about it. And when I show you this slide, so I'm sure a lot of you know about Thrive Global. Thrive Global is owned by Ariana Huffington, the founder of the HuffPost. So on Thrive Global, recently I posted a thought leadership article on the community page, which was this. So I was able to do that despite not having a base or a foundation in HR or HR tech. But over the last 1 year, with extensive research, I have been able to deliver an industry thought piece that is relevant, current in today's times. And it should be, I made sure it was that tight. The content was that tightly woven that nobody can come back to me and say, you know what, I think something is wrong. I think you have not addressed this or that. Never give room for those gaps in your content when you're writing for businesses, because become the master of your universe to take over the universe. If you want to be the king, make sure you own the throne. And that's how I've always said it. And I think I've ran through this as quickly as possible. And that's all about it. So the reason why I ended this presentation relatively quicker is because I can keep telling you a lot of things. I can keep flooding a lot of information through your system on how to develop content. But I think if you ask me the questions, I'll be able to address them, because B2b content development, yes, I've been in this industry for about 4+ years now, inching closer towards my fifth anniversary in this industry. And I'll tell you, even today, I'll never call myself a master of it, because you learn something new every day. When you work in different industries, under different leaders, under different thought processes, you start to evolve as a writer. But a piece of advice I can give you guys is, if you're looking for a book if you feel like, okay, syntax and grammar isn't your strong suit, I don't know if I'll be able to improve. And it's not like you can go back to school again and start from the basics. No chance. So I recommend this book. It's called The Elements of Style. And this is a book I have been using now. This is the 8th edition that has come, the 4th edition that has come out now. And I have all the 4 editions with me. It's a book written by Mr. William Strunk Jr. If you do not know him, William Strunk Jr. was one of the pioneers in written English. He was a professor in Cornell University from 1896 to 1940. And over years, all of his teachings have metamorphed into this synopsis, which is the elements of style. If you guys meet, it's a very short read. It's only about 100 pages, and you can be done with it in a month. And with a little bit of practice, grammar and syntax also will just be a problem of the past, and you'll be one step closer to fruition, as I would like to call it. So if you guys have any other doubts, please feel free to ask me, because I think that is the best way, because that's how I also learned. I kept sitting down with B2B writers and asking them, tell me what was wrong. Tell me how do I improve. So yeah, the floor is all yours. Nihal. And Nihal's not there, seemingly. Okay. Nihal. Mm-hmm.
Why don't you try pinging him personally?
Yeah, I was just going to do that.
Yeah, Nikhil, hello.
Yeah, so I ran through the presentation, Nihal. So I would like to address questions in real time as to running through it again. So open it up for me. Open up the floor for me, and I'll take every question.
Sure. All right. So everyone, like before, let's once again shoot all our questions. Right. So all of your questions, please do put up in the chat box. I hope everyone's still here. So you can shoot any questions you have into the chat box, or you can directly choose to unmute yourself and ask Nikhil the question if you are. So we have a question. So Nikhil, here's a question for you.
Okay.
What are the best resources to improve our understanding on business?
So that question's a little bit more. It's a. Okay, also one more question's coming, but okay, I'll explain that. So it depends on the type of business that you are looking at, right? So your primary resources and your research. I think that's the question that she was asking me. Where can you get the research from, right? So for most of us, yes, there it is. So Marian, for most of us who rely heavily on digital platforms to learn about something or to read about a particular topic or conversation, Google is your primary search engine, but like Aparna had mentioned in her session, you need to vet your content, right? And that is how you find out and you learn more about your business. Now, I'll give you the example again. Now, when I joined my previous company that worked in blockchain primarily, now how do I read about blockchain? Who do I listen to? Who's telling me the truth and who's telling me utter nonsense in the background? So there are in terms of blockchain, there are designated platforms that give you relevant and in real time information like CoinGraph, Cointelegraph, Binance, and like that. There are a lot of platforms. These vetted platforms are the places where you will get your information about a particular business, and then extensive research. As simple as that. It's a gut instinct as to what you feel is right and what is wrong, because a lot of people will claim a lot of tall assumptions and claim they'll have 100 million things to tell you about certain conversations. Like once upon a time, they once used to tell us that blockchain will get us to the moon. But I can tell you now, after researching it for the last 2 years, we are not going anywhere to the moon with blockchain, because that is not what blockchain does, right? So other than learning about the business, you need to learn about what you want to talk about. What is it that you're talking about? What is the topic? Read, understand, imbibe, and also think for yourself, because you don't have to blindly believe what somebody is telling you, because we are gifted with the same brain another person is gifted with. So we have a broader understanding and a perspective when it comes to a particular topic. If you're looking at purely content sources, that is just basic understanding. Like you'll know Forbes, you'll know Entrepreneur, you'll know Business Standard, all of these platforms will give you vetted information because their sources are strong. Now, a third person or random blog might not give you the most accurate data. So you might want to refrain from looking at blogs when it comes to technical content and technical work. Try and follow business leaders. Like if you want to learn more about IQAC, you can follow Mark Cuban, you can follow Satya Nadella, you can follow Sundar Pichai, you can follow even Kevin O'Leary. So you need to isolate those leaders who are talking relevant information and you need to follow them, and you need to learn their conversations, and you need to learn what they are talking about. So then you can think about it and you can form your own conversations about the same.
Perfect. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Nikhil. So I hope, Marian, you have a sound understanding of what resources to look at and what not to, right? So I think Indulega has a small suggestion. She was asking if you could repeat your talk on the clickbait, just the clickbait section. So if you can elaborate into what did you not understand, or would you like him to cover the whole idea of clickbait? So Nikhil, if it's not too much, can you go ahead and...
Okay, all right. So again, I would not like to point a finger thoroughly at clickbait saying that, oh no, it's the satanic evil that nobody must ever even consider. No, I'm not going to say that, because if you are working in the media entertainment industry, if you're working in, actually that's it, if you're working in the media entertainment industry, that becomes your sole form as a driver. Clickbait becomes a driver because in the media entertainment industry, oh, you didn't understand what it meant. Okay, she didn't understand what clickbait meant. Okay, clickbait is a type of content that when developed will force a user or a consumer to click it because it piques his curiosity, and it often relies on fear, intimidation, or maybe a random abstract information. Like imagine if suddenly like heavy rainfall, they are predicted like a heavy cyclone is going to hit Cochin City. Let's just assume that. An immediate clickbait that will come to your email is, why will Hurricane Kochi result in a dip in your savings? You are automatically stoked. You can't understand why is this connected to that. That's clickbait. They have baited you and they are just reeling you in like a fish. They want you to click that, and you will click it, and then you might realize, oh my God, this is utter nonsense. It's not even talking about what I thought it would be talking about. And that is what clickbait is, using content to bait a person to click it and read. It might not be the whole truth, but it relies on a lot of half-truths, and it also works with intimidation and fear. Like your insurance policy is about to expire. How does he know my insurance policy is about to expire? But I still click it because I am curious. What? My insurance policy? Click. That's it. That is clickbait.
Yeah, perfect. Just to add on to what Nikhil was saying, so clickbait also works as, if people lure you into installing malware or malicious software on your system as well. You might end up clicking on an email and it might trigger another follow-up action, and you might get, it's not necessarily fake news, but...
It's not necessarily fake news, Indu. It could be, it's just like using words to trigger that emotion for you to click. Fake news is like Salman Khan spotted in Kadavantara Junction. That is fake news, okay? That is something else altogether. But when we're talking about clickbait, it's very simple. It could be a seller trying to sell you an insurance policy. But instead of putting the subject line as, we are selling insurance policy, or we have better prices in insurance policies, he's put a subject line as in, your insurance policy is expiring soon. And automatically you are scared, you are clueless, and you're trying to understand how does he know about my insurance policy, and I click it. That is clickbait. It not necessarily means fake news, but the intentions are very fake.
Well put, Nikhil, well put. Perfect. So anyone else would like to raise a question? Oh, great. Thank you, Indu, for letting us know. Anyone else would like to raise a query? Please go ahead. I think we still have time, right, Nikhil? Yeah.
Yeah, so I like to keep some time open, because we can talk. I think I'm repeating myself here, but like I said, when it comes to building content in the back end of a company, there are 100 different ways to approach. But I think you learn more on the go if you just ask people genuinely, right? Because I'm sure most of you do not know that Nihal and me were batchmates. Not batchmates. Nihal was 1 year my junior back in college. We both studied engineering. So writing wasn't in my forte. The only way I got better over time is to learn from people and to ask them, tell me what is the mistake, and I will rectify that mistake and make sure I never make that mistake again. And that's how you become a better writer, pretty much, in long format content, that is.
Exactly. You have to consistently keep improving, work on your content over and over again, question
Every day.
yourself, put yourself into a retrospective, and think about what it is that you really need to improve. Ask people, seek out people for help. You can talk to your peers, your friends, and just show this to them, show your content, what you've written to them, and tell them, what do you think about this content? And like
Yeah.
Nikhil said, it's also about understanding and isolating leaders from within your circle or outside. Oh, we have another question. So just to conclude, yeah. So make sure that you keep on pursuing consistent improvement.
Okay, we got a question here from Ms. Rizwana. Is it possible to get into these fields after doing computer engineering? Why not? Why not?
I was a computer engineer, right?
I did automobile, and I think Nihal was a computer. Nihal, you did computer engineering?
Yes, I did computer engineering.
And none of us are doing anything remotely connected to engineering anymore. So I don't know about Nihal. Nihal's running a company in the back, so maybe he is. But I am not doing anything when it comes to engineering at all. I am only a writer. That's why I do not talk at engineering colleges, because I feel like it's a demon in the back of my head. But you do not see. I'll tell you something. I think we all are approaching the concept of education on a much more faulty premise. That is, yes, you have your college, you have your courses, you have your professors who are teaching you. Yes, they will teach you what they have to teach you. But you always have that avenue to learn more and expand more. Yes, you studied computer engineering. Doesn't matter. You studied computer engineering. Why don't you go become a pilot? You can still go learn it. You can finish engineering, go pursue MBBS. You want to become a doctor, go for it. So is there anything? Wait, that's a very good question, actually. I just got one. Is there any specific we should focus on after spending 4 years studying a... Okay. See, I am assuming, Rizwana, that you are pursuing computer engineering right now. Am I right? I just want that confirmation from you so I feel like I understood the question better. Yeah.
Yes.
Third year. Rizwana, the reason you probably took up computer engineering, right, is because, like me, you had a lack of understanding of where your career wanted to go. So engineering seemed like the safer bet. You took engineering, you're pursuing engineering. Yes, exactly. I know. We all are rocking on the same boat, Rizwana. Don't worry. So now probably you are trying to explore a career in a different field, and that probably could be content writing and content marketing and also advertising. Yes. So like I said, you will learn about industries and conversations as you get more experience. But now your immediate goal right now is, if you want to become a content writer, you need to sharpen your first skill, which is writing. Research, becoming an industry expert, all of that is secondary, tertiary, and it just keeps going on. Your primary skill right now, if you're trying to be a writer, that is to always improve and hone your writing skill. You'll go today, sit down, write out a 500-word like article, a document, or forget it, just write a story. Forget writing about anything else, just write a story. And then look at the mistakes you make with every single sentence and every single paragraph. Reiterate, work on that, get help from somebody so that person can also be unbiased. See, the worst thing you can have is a biased outlook when it comes to writing, because you will always feel like, no, I'm the best writer there is and nobody can ever come and dethrone me from my kingdom. No, you are absolutely wrong. I have had a junior come up to me and point out a mistake, because we are all human, right? We make mistakes, we learn from our mistakes. Similarly, we have shortcomings. That is, we are not a good writer, you are not a good writer right now. That will not be the case 2 years from now if you start putting in the groundwork today. You start sharpening it. That's why I've given this book over here. Just buy this book. It's called The Elements of Style. It's by William Strunk. This book is a short read. It'll help you improve. It'll actually help you go beyond that. You can actually become a really finessed writer by just going through that book, because it's one of the godfathers of written English, William Strunk Jr. If you go, that'll be a good base for you. So I think I hope I've answered that question for you, Rizwana. Yeah, Swati, that's a very good question. Is there a maximum length of a content based on research of people's attention power? Yes, it has been attributed that if you could keep your content to under 600 words, it is much more better for holding your consumer in his place. But again, that is in Aparna's side, that is in consumer marketing, and that is talking to the broader masses, because there is too much of content over there that if your content is too long, people will fall off and they'll get bored very easily and they'll leave. But in direct business writing, that is writing for a business, you are targeting your content to a particular person and you're making him read it, right? For that, it could be sales oriented or product explanation, etc., whatever. So in that, I try to keep it under 1,000 words. But again, if you're writing directly to a public consumer, I will always advise you to keep it under 600. And during my advertisement days, under 500 is what I was told. But again, these are all exceptions. And like I tell you, over time and experience, you will see these minuscule intricacies of what revolves around content development. That is, there is no hard and fast rules in English. Today, you want to use a comma here, you do not have to use it there tomorrow, because if the context changes, everything changes. When target audience is managers of company, it needs to be more brief. Not necessarily. That again depends on the type of content you're sending them. If you're sending them a sales pitch, it has to be very brief, okay, Swati, because you want them to read it quickly and make a decision. But if it's a product description, if it's a product explainer, if it's a product, anything related to your product, the more you put it in detail, it means the more robust your solution is and the more information the writer has about the product. So like I said, it depends on what you're trying to say and to whom you're trying to say, right? So that audience, being a company manager, again, sales pitch, very short. Keep your sales pitch to a minimum, because people hate when people sell to them directly. And that's why I often refer to B2B as indirect sales. You are trying to pique a person's interest by giving him a lot of information about a product till he voluntarily asks you, can you show me the product? I want to see it now. Simple as that.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Nikhil. So I hope, Swati, your question is... Oh,
no, wait. I
have a follow-up question. Yeah.
Okay. What's the follow-up question? Yes, but when it's more of strategy to a CEO. I don't think I understand that question. Can you reiterate that for me? Do you understand that question, Nihal? Can you break that down for me?
No, that's what. So Swati, can you try going on voice? Can you try unmuting and you can ask the question directly, or can you try rephrasing that? I think I was not able to make out the question either. But maybe I think from what she's written, one possible interpretation is like, do you think it needs to be long if I am proposing a strategy to a CEO?
Mm.
So that could be one interpretation. That's what I'm thinking. Yes, exactly. So that's what it is. So she's just added her clarification.
But if you're communicating strategy, that is no longer marketing content. That automatically becomes a business pitch. So yes, I'll agree with you. It has to be much more minuscule. If you are see the question itself has your answer. If you're trying to communicate strategic points to a CEO or a board, that is no longer marketing content.
So Nikhil, I'll just add to that. So one thing that I've always noticed is, rather than length, it's important to be the points that you put across needs to be very essential. Because from a business perspective, you have to understand your audience and see what it is that they're looking for. If it's a CEO, if it's a strategic pitch that you're making, see whether it is like is it like a business value proposition, or is it like a sales forecast? So what sort of a strategy are you making? And depending on that, the idea is to be crisp and clear and convey all your points to the CEO rather than focusing on length. Yes, you have to keep it short and concise, but that should be your focus at that point.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to put it. But I like this question by Liz P. Is brevity essential? Okay, when it comes to using brevity, if I'm correct in the context, it means using the right words and concise words. Yes, it does. It is quite essential when you're writing business content, because like I said, nobody likes people who beat around the bush. And brevity, using the right words, will help you negate beating around the bush when you're writing content, because it's so heavily technical at times that elongated and strenuous content is not something people enjoy going through. So I hope that answers your question. But I'm coming back to Swati for a second. Business value proposition, that's what I meant. Again, Swati, I think you're slightly straying off from what we are trying to show, because you're talking about now engaging with the business, right? And that is phase 2 after your content channels have been exhausted. And again, business value proposition, that is again a seller's pitch. So that's different content altogether. And then I would love to hold a session for all of you another time regarding that, because I also work with sales teams on how to sell. And that's slightly more different. I don't want to confuse the others by talking about that. Strategy, value proposition, business goals, and talking about your top line and bottom line are all a different topic. The content changes over there. It again goes into something known as C-level content.
Yes, so I hope that answers your query, Swati. Also, I think if you have more doubts, you could probably reach out to Nikhil on his LinkedIn, or you can reach out to me.
I'm actually going to post my LinkedIn profile. All of you are more than welcome to reach out to me. Please connect with me. You can ask me your questions directly. All right. I'm always available to talk to my industry peers and my future colleagues. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm very easy to talk to. As you can see, I talk too much, clearly, but
I think I always had to time bound you, right?
Oh yeah. I remember torturing you and Sriram a lot.
Right? Yeah, quite a lot. Yep. So any more questions? So Nikhil's LinkedIn profile link is in the chat section, so you can reach out to Nikhil. And Aparna, you could, if you would like, you can also share yours as well, in case, if that's okay. But yeah. So Nikhil's LinkedIn link is here. So please do mention. So I always recommend adding a note when you send a connection request, so that we can at least make out what sort of an acquaintance we have and how are we connected.
This is asking something called no way. What happened? I did not understand that.
So yeah, I think it could be. It could be a wrong comment in the wrong place. So, but
okay.
But yes,
be careful, Liz. Very careful.
So Liz, yes. So getting back, so Nikhil's LinkedIn and Aparna's is also down in the chat. So feel free to connect with them. So LinkedIn, for those of you who do not know, it's a very professional community where you can reach out and get your queries answered by industry peers and leaders as well. So there are so many people out there you could reach out to. And yes, so any more questions, anyone? So we'll take one more question, because I think we've exceeded 4:30. We're beyond 4:30. So
is my screen still visible?
Yes, it is. You're still sharing.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Nikhil.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. So are you a senior from SCMS?
Yes, I am. I am very much a senior from SCMS. So is Nihal. Nihal is also alumni from SCMS. We are all from SCMS.
So are you from SCMS, Rizwana?
That would be the follow-up question.
Yeah. I've attended one of Nihal says talks. Oh, okay.
Oh God, I've been boring people for some time on MongoDB.
Oh, it's technical, right? It's a database.
Okay.
Oh, you're from SCMS. Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Glad to have you here.
Oh, fantastic. Amazing.
So widespread reach. So I think if we do not have any more follow-up questions, I think we'll conclude then, right?
Always feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And yeah, that's about it. If any of you want to also talk about other forms of content, again, I just wanted to address a conversational point which I had early on. The one other important thing just for all of you is reach out to people as much as you can. Try and learn the ways of how it goes. Like, yes, I would like to say that I don't like, the thing is, I feel like at times I come across with the whole, I have not had a strategic elevator. I have had an elevator in my life. It has come through my dad. He has helped me a lot with my content because I don't know, most of you know, he is the master of spoken English and written content. So as far as I can go, and I'm not even a fraction of what he can do and speak. If any of, I'm sure all of you are Malayalis. This is my dad. This is the man. You know, the worst image also I could find, I guess. Yeah.
No, it's pretty good actually. I mean, I have once met your dad as well, and he's a very respectable person, very
nice man, right? Very easy to
knowledgeable person as well, easy to approach. Very fine gentleman, actually. So I think we'll conclude the session. So is Lakshmi here? Lakshmi from St.Mary?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Over to you then.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Once again. So we'll be moving on with the vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the honorable resource persons, indeed the chief guests of the day, Ms. Aparna and Mr. Nikhil Menon, for sparing their valuable time with us. I would also like to thank the principal sister, Dr. Sister Maggie Jose, the head of the English department, Bindu ma'am, Rajashri ma'am, Shrikala ma'am, and Nihal sir for their constant support throughout. Last but not the least, I would like to thank each and every one of you for spending your time with us and making this event a grand success. With that, we've come to the end of the session. Once again, thank you.
So thank you so much, everyone, for being a part of this session. So on behalf of St. Mary's College, on behalf of everyone else who's participated, on behalf of Nikhil and Aparna and Rajashri ma'am, Bindu ma'am, and also the principal of St. Mary's College, I thank all of you for being a part of this webinar. I hope it has been a very informative session for both the speakers as well as the attendees. And well, so hope to see you all again soon. So Nikhil and Aparna, if you have anything to add, one final time.
Aparna, I hope I can go first because I actually have to get off this and get on a call in 2 minutes. So I just want to quickly tell all of you, it has been a pleasure talking to all of you. I love talking to my industry peers, and I think as most of you, as also Nihal knows very well, that I just love talking and nothing can stand in my way to talk. And I hope to engage with you guys again in the future. And the times are tough, but the economy is bouncing back. So everybody stay safe, stay put. We'll all get there. COVID-19 will all just be a figment of our imagination very soon. Thank you guys. And see you soon. Nihal, I'll be in touch with you and I'll reach out to you later. Bye, Aparna. It was brilliant. Your session was so informative. I am very envious of your knowledge, and I will.
I want to tell you the same thing actually. Yours was very detail oriented, and I'm like, what did I even present? So, yeah.
You're very kind, Aparna. I will reach out to you also very soon, and see you guys. All the best, and bye now. Bye, guys. All right.
Bye. Thank you. Same. So, bye, guys. And I just realized that Nikhil was on his video all this while, so I just come online just to say bye. And like he said, keep in touch. And I thank you, Nihal, for this wonderful opportunity. I'm so glad to have presented something like this after a very long time, in fact. So like I said, keep in touch, guys. My LinkedIn profile is also there up on top. And if you have any doubts regarding content or anything on those lines, just reach out to me and I'd be glad to help. So thank you. Thank you to the management as well. Thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all. So hope you have a great day. Have a great time. Stay safe. Bye-bye.